Hello everyone, Joe Thatcher, Midwest Military Equipment out of Washington, Missouri. Behind me here is a very, very unique truck. This is actually, I only know of two of them in civilian hands, and we've been fortunate enough to own both of them. This is actually a 2011, not overhauled in 2011, built in 2011, Oshkosh M1075A1. So the M1075A1s, you've probably seen a lot of different Oshkosh trucks on our channel. We've had quite a few trucks with the hook lift before. We've only had one other 10x10 with the hook lift, and it actually had the material handling crane. It was a 1074. However, it was not an A1. So the biggest thing about the A1s is an A1, they got rid of the Detroit powertrain. They changed the transmissions from 5 speeds to 6 speeds, just upgraded a lot of stuff. They got factory air conditioning, updated CTIS, updated front suspension. So today we're gonna go over, we just got this vehicle in, literally unloaded off the trailer, and this is how it is. So we have not gone through any of the mechanical aspect of it, but everything from what I looked over this morning seems to be very sound. Obviously it still needs to be run through the shop, serviced. You know, as you can see, the windshield wiper blades are folded up. It needs some TLC, some love, but overall, it's in really awesome shape. So this particular truck will start at the front here. As you can see, overall cab design's very similar to one of the earlier Hemmets or Oshkoshes. However, they've added larger front tie-down shackles is one of the first things I see on this truck. Windshield glass is the same. The front nose is different. Before, this was all open, and the engine actually drafted all of its air for the radiator right through the front of the vehicle. Now we can see on this side, they've actually relocated the radiator on these trucks. So they've installed the radiator here on the side. I'm looking at the back bracketry and the hinging on it. This looks like, this appears that this radiator actually swing out of the way, so that way it's easier to work on the engine. Before, in order to get a radiator out of one of these, it was a real nightmare. You'd either have to pull it up from the top, and all your mounts, you'd have to go underneath the truck, crawl back underneath this hole, remove that original mesh grill to be able to get the radiator out. This is definitely a far superior design. You've got a sight glass at the top that's easily visible when you're doing just your walk-through inspection of the truck in the morning. The other big thing right out of the gate towards the front of the vehicle is this has got the TAC4 suspension. So the TAC4 suspension group is a fully independent front suspension. This truck has 3 steer axles. You asked me, actually, if you want to consider it has 6 steering axles. So this front axle here turns, this front tire turns, this front tire turns, the opposite side turns, along with the rear tire turning on the truck itself. So this suspension, unlike the earlier model Detroit trucks where they were a solid axle and they had like a similar to a Hendrickson walking beam suspension, you can see that's been gotten rid of. So this is definitely a major update of the vehicle characteristics. They've installed the battery box higher on the vehicle. Normally they weren't on the fender, as you can see here. Air cleaner is easily accessible. It looks like they've got a pre-cleaner system on it. The main oil filter right there is very easy to get to. The biggest thing about this truck too is the factory Detroit's had about 450 horsepower in the earlier model Oshkosh vehicles. This has got a C15 Cat, which all the Caterpillar guys out there know C15's one of the best motors that Cat made. Very, very popular in glider trucks and things of that nature. They were an awesome engine. Cat actually builds them still today for military application and some off-road applications, but they actually got away from building them on the on-road truck market. So this has got a factory C15 engine. The Allison transmission behind it is a 4500 series 6-speed transmission. This is a fully electronic transmission, which your earlier Hemmets before the A2s, they actually had mechanical Allisons, and then they switched to electronic, but they were only 5-speed. This is a 6-speed. The muffler configuration and everything like that is quite a bit different on this. Obviously, they probably had to do that with the power pack that it's got in it. They relocated a lot of things, but honestly, everything that I've seen so far, just walking around the truck that's been changed, has honestly been changed for the good. You know, it's a lot easier to get to everything, which is a very nice feature. Going back to the back, this is a multi-lift hook lift system, so that hook will actually fold up. You can pull a flat rack on here, shipping containers on here. They've got ready mix bodies, they've got dump truck beds for them, they've got asphalt bodies, they've got a little bit of everything. You can buy water tanks that are hook lift configuration. This hook's got a 37 or 38,000 pound capacity on it. And then these roller systems, so this will actually, we'll show you in the video. Later in the video, we'll go ahead and run that hook back. And that hook, we've got it in the down position right now as we transported this. Originally, directly behind the hook next to the exhaust, there is a spare wheel and tire that mounts on this truck. So you do have one spare. I noticed one thing, back shackles here are severely overbuilt compared to the original Hemmets. Similar MRAP design that the military seems to be going through on everything. Brake chambers are different. The rear steering system appears to be about the same. This has still got a Hendrickson walking beam suspension in the back with the rear axle being steerable. This is your steering gear for your rear steer. You can see your steering shaft runs all the way down the side of the truck. Excuse me. We'll go ahead and walk up onto the top of the truck and show you how you get to the engine and everything on it. So you can see spare tire originally mounts right here. Those are your engine access covers to get to the engine. I can actually step up and we'll go ahead and open up one of the engine covers and take a look at the engine in this beast. So this opens pretty easy here, easy to get to. Once again, like I said, we have not washed it or done anything with it, but you can see that beast of a C-15 sitting in the belly of this thing. And you've actually got coolers on both sides to draw heat away from the engine. Left and right hand side. Turbocharger is absolutely massive on this, but ductwork overall, you know, pull these covers off and be able to get down there to the top of the engine and run overhead or do anything like that seems pretty straightforward, especially if those coolers do in fact fold out of the way, which I'm sure we'll be doing more videos on this truck and kind of cover the service aspect of it, kind of go through it. It is a long way up here. So climbing down off the top, you can see the hook lift. This hook actually folds up, pins here. We've got it in the lower position. That's way just to get our overall height of the truck down. We were able to bring this in on a step deck. Empty curb weight on this truck is about 49,000 pounds as it sits. When you put a flat rack on it, they're about 46,000. Depending on what rack you end up putting on it, they can be even heavier. So the GVWR of this truck, I believe, is about 80 or 90,000. And the gross vehicle combined weight's over 150,000 when it's pulling the trailer, the believe it's a 1076 PLS hook lift trailer. So fuel tanks on both sides, around 180 gallons of fuel is what the fuel capacity is. Air tank drains are right there, pretty similar to a lot of military vehicles. You've got fuel shutoff valve there. Another fuel shutoff valve probably on the other side. Air dryer is protected underneath that step there. Just overall, very battery disconnect switch, an important one there. Battery disconnect switch and the slave cable port there. Everything's very well labeled. This is obviously a hydraulic reservoir for the hook lift system. The cab, quite a bit on the interior has been changed. Exterior, it looks like the doors are the exact same. As you can see, some of the data plate calling out the axle ratings here. So the front axle is 17,500 pound. The second axle back is 17,500 pound. The third axle is 19,000 pounds. Fourth axle is 19,000 pounds. And fifth axle is 19,000 pound capacity. So you can see the curb weight is 51,000 pounds, and then the max payload is around 36,000. And they do call out the armor ratings because these cabs are designed for armor ready. So you can put either a BAT, I think it's a level A and a level B kit on these trucks. But we'll go ahead and have you hop up on the passenger side and kind of show you all the controls and everything. Starting the truck, everything like that. So getting into the truck, you can see they've changed quite a bit in the layout on the interior. Originally, this did not have this recessed in the other Hemmets because you had all your space and all your air had to travel from the front of the truck to the back to cool the radiator that was originally right here. So this is kind of definitely a redesign. It's got factory air conditioning, which is an awesome feature with the heat here in Missouri. I'll go ahead and hit the ignition switch. We can see we've got the CTIS controller here, standard push-pull valves. That's the CTIS override to shut it off. AC controls there. Here's our transfer case lever, so it does have a high and a low range on the transfer case. I'd hate to see what this thing does in low range because High range, top speed on this vehicle is about 60 miles an hour. You've got all your light switches here. It appears that they've gotten rid of the 3-lever light switch and gone to just standard rocker switches, which is kind of a nice feature for most guys. You know, owning one of these in the civilian world, they're not as familiar with the 3-lever light switches. This right here is important. This is for the multi-lift hook lift system. So this is your PTO switch here. Then your load and unload joystick there. Got good visibility out of both sides of the truck in order to see your rack when you're backing up and move it. We did have another video hooking up to a flat rack. Sadly, we don't have any flat racks here right now to be able to hook onto, but we will here pretty soon and be able to get some videos of that. If you look at the instrument panel though, the instrument panel's been completely updated. The dashes on the original Oshkoshes, there's like 10 different gauges. Now we've got 3 simple, straightforward gauges. We've got warning lights here on both sides. We've got fuel gauge, engine temperature gauge, front and rear air brake pressure, transmission temp gauge, and engine oil pressure and RPMs. We'll go ahead and start it here. Engine start button. Fire it up. Feel that AC cooling down. Touch speed transmission, similar to what's in the Sturt and Stevensons and the later model Oshkoshes. Put it in drive, neutral, reverse. You can manually upshift and downshift the gears in this truck. So if you want to hold it in 5th gear, not let it go to 6, you can do so right there. It appears that that's where our ICE connectors and our diagnostic port for that C15 is right there on the dash, easy to access. We've got a glove box. We've got a power interface here for radio and communication equipment. And since this truck is armor ready, and some of these are designed when they have the armor kit on them, they do have a fully operational turret. So this is a gunner exit hole for the turret itself. We'll go ahead and I'll turn the PTO on, and we can go ahead and run the hook out. So as you can see, we're running the hook out. I'll idle the truck up a little so it can run a little quicker. So that hook will actually come all the way out and almost touch the ground and allow you to be able to hook onto a flat rack and tug it right up on there. So you see a lot of these going down the highway with either boats or Humvees. They do have pull a lot of MK2 and MK3 bridge erection boats with the hook lift system, but it'll lay all the way down on the ground and actually put down pressure on the ground. I'll go ahead and run it right back up into the saddle. And we can take it for a ride. Yeah, important thing to go back to the clarity of this truck in civilian hands. I've been looking for one of these for a long time, and last year I was able to source one, and it was in excellent condition, similar to this one. This truck here's only got 2,900 miles on it and less than 300 hours. And I was able to find a gentleman that had one of these that purchased it quite a few years ago, and he was able to sell that vehicle and decided that he wanted to sell it, reached out to us. I said, all right, I'd love to buy it, but you know, at that point in time, we were getting ready to start our new facility, and the figures didn't work, so I actually reached out to my good friend, Dave Sparks, and ended up selling him the other 1075A1 that I know is in civilian hands. I'm sure there's gonna be some awesome content and video out there of Heavy D playing with his. So I've been wanting one ever since, and sadly I just have not been able to source one. And fortunately, about a month ago, I was able to find this truck, and it actually came off the East Coast. Guy had owned it for I think 5 or 6 years, and I saw it and I said, man, I've got to have that. I finally got to get one. So I was able to buy it, acquire it, get it brought back here. We hauled it in earlier this week, and this is an excellent sigh of relief, definitely a bucket list thing, being able to drive one of these for the first time. So First thing out of the gate I'll notice is, the Hemmets originally, they rode pretty darn rough. With that solid Hendrickson front walking beam suspension on them versus this independent coil spring suspension. I can tell right away just driving down this road on how nice this truck rides. Another big thing is the power. We're driving almost a 50,000 pound empty weight vehicle right now. And the older 8V92s, they do phenomenal. They do have quite a bit of power. They're geared right. They're very proportionate for what they are. And they work out awesome for that. But however, you can just tell with this C15 that this truck wants to get up and run. So let's just go down here to the end of the cul-de-sac and see how the turning radius is on it. Cool thing to notice, which I'll go over here to the right, and you can look in the mirror, you can see that rear axle steering when I'm going down the road. So that gives you quite a bit of maneuverability for a truck that, I believe this truck's like probably 35 feet long, 35 to 38 feet long. The flat rack portion of the truck is 20 foot by itself. So we'll take this puppy, go down here to the cul-de-sac, and see if we can make it one complete spin around. It'd be pretty awesome if we could. It's been a long time since I've driven a 10x10, and I haven't driven one with this new upgraded steering and suspension. So we'll see how well it does here. So it's just a standard industrial park cul-de-sac. And are we going to have it? Nope. Pretty close though. Pretty close. So you can see that rear axle's coming around, making our turning radius even better. I'm going to go ahead and put it in drive. Almost again. So the turning radius is not as great, but as for the truck being as large as it is, it's not terrible at all. Still very nimble. So we'll kind of get on this thing. You hear that C15 roaring in the background. Truck runs out very, very good. AC will run you out of here in this truck, which is surprising because a lot of the factory military air conditioning kits were, in my opinion, subpar. That's why we've changed out a lot of our systems and re-engineered a lot of the stuff to work better for civilian application. I think a lot of the times on the older trucks, AC wasn't necessarily a main priority at the time like it is now. People in the 21st century want to have nice, cool air conditioning and be able to get in a vehicle and enjoy it. But this thing, I can definitely see driving it across country and being very comfortable in it. The air ride seats work very, very well. I've actually got mine deflated quite a bit right now, but it's very, very comfortable, very nice to drive. Cab noise is substantially less than the Detroit trucks, which should be expected with all the insulation that's in the ceiling and the back wall. Awesome truck. This is a great experience for me. Always wanted one and finally get to take one out and drive one and enjoy one. So it's we're going to be doing a lot more videos of trucks and different equipment as we get it in. I've been trying to procure a lot of really unique stuff, and I think this PLS here is definitely one unique piece that a lot of people are going to enjoy. And we'd really love to see feedback. So if you like our videos, please be sure to subscribe to our channel, and leave some commentary in our comments. Give us some feedback on what we can do. You're not going to hurt our feelings, because we'd like to provide you some of the best content possible. So we appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video today. And if you're shopping for a custom truck, or potentially even interested in this truck, I haven't really decided if I'm going to sell it yet or not. If I do, it's going to be a pretty expensive Hemmet just for the rarity of the vehicle and the fact that it's a 2011 with less than 3,000 miles on it. So be sure to like and subscribe. You can find us online at MidwestMilitaryEquipment.com or give us a call at 636-900-9046. Thanks for watching.